pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So, attendance, appointment of alternates, not needed, we are all here. Approval of agenda.
I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Is there a second? Oh,
I forgot the notification, the appointment of the auditor. You add that to it. There's a
Okay,
regular
well-
meeting.
you want to, you didn't get a second yet, so just,
And I'm going to rescind my motion.
yeah.
Okay.
All right, Wedding?
I want to add appointment of an auditor under new business.
Okay,
It's our third year of our 3-year contract.
okay, of auditor.
There's no change.
Can we have a motion to put on 10B, appointment of auditor?
I'll move it.
And second?
Second.
All right, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Now to approve the agenda as amended. Motion?
I'll move to approve the agenda as amended.
Is there, okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting passed, motion passes. Number 5, approval of minutes. Who wants to handle these?
Do you want me to do in each, we have to do each of
We do have to do them individually, but
I'll move to approve the minutes of the regular meeting on March 20th, 2019.
is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
I'll move to approve the minutes of the public hearing on March 27th, 2019.
Is there a second? Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
I'll move to approve meetings of budget workshop March 27th, 2019.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Next?
I'll move to approve the minutes of the budget workshop on March 28th, 2019.
Second? All those in favor? Oh, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Next?
I'll move to approve the minutes of the budget workshop on April 2nd, 2019.
Second? Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
I'll move to approve the minutes of the budget workshop on April 4th, 2019.
Second? Any discussion?
Yes, on page 5F3, the last motion, it says that I made it and seconded it. I believe I made it, but I didn't second it.
5F3.
5F3, yes. The public works on the bottom.
Yes, it was late. Do we know who seconded it?
Probably more. I have it.
Okay, we'll correct it. 5F3.
5F3 from April 4th, public works budget.
Okay, so can I have a motion to approve the minutes as Rebecca will amend?
Yes, I will move to approve the budget workshop April 4th minutes as amended.
Second?
Sure.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Public participation? Go ahead.
I feel like I'm speaking maybe for the village that's obviously on vacation this week with school break or their child sporting events. Again, I understand the daunting task you have before you with the Board of Finance, and you need to present a responsible budget to the community. As we've discussed in the past, any cuts to any of our departments is dire, is like devastating at this point. And as we're looking into the Board of Ed, many people have had their opinions in the community. Well, they're getting millions of dollars, and so this cut isn't that bad, but any cut right now to the Board of Ed is considerably devastating. And they're trying to keep up with the mandates of the trends of the new students moving in the district, and I know that they're trying to do that to offset the cost, and I'm just asking for your consideration tonight before you finalize anything, to really look over the numbers again, public safety, Board of Education, looking at the Board of Education before, let the people try to have a vote.
And that's the sentiment of a lot of folks in town, and I wish more were here, but like I said, it's school vacation week and such. So I think last year we proved presenting it to the people want to see an investment, and it might cost us more money. We're gonna get a better return, we're gonna keep stuff in our schools, we're gonna keep kids in our district, and that's huge. And just go to the schools, walk the hallways, talk to the teachers, be there on an average school day. So, thank you.
All right, anybody else? No, Sarah.
Oh, sorry,
Second. Main Street, right?
Main Street, yes. Right.
All right, anybody else? Go ahead.
Kathy Simonelli, 7 Depot Street. Just echo something Sarah said, I think the public has shown that they want to have a say on what they really need and want, and I would encourage the Board of Finance to put forth a budget that doesn't further cut the Board of Ed, and maybe even restores some of what was cut on Monday, and lets the taxpayers decide this first time around. Some of the other departments, perhaps it's too, public safety, I think, has some real needs that are perhaps not addressed by this budget as it currently sits.
Anybody else? All right, on to communication. I have none. You have any? Nope. Okay, that was easy. All right, monthly reports, town financials.
This is all the way back in the 8s.
All right.
About 3/4 of the way through your package.
Because there's so many minutes.
The start is a letter from the tax collector. She did tax sales on April 2nd, and she just showed you how much was out there, how much she collected, and the only write-off was $569, so $589. So she ended up collecting $166,000 on $166,000.
They're not under us.
And then I think in her cumulative report, it shows that it's still short for the current, not surprised considering the adjustments that happened to the grand list. So, I think that's nothing. She gave you a new report. 3-year trend. The assessor gave us the final grand list. You know, we've talked about it a few different times, but the number is 954, 201, 918, which is a decrease of just shy of $5 million of last year's reported grand list.
More than the last time we talked, right?
Same number.
Same number, it feels like more.
Nope.
Maybe when you say 5 million, I like the 4.9 and change better.
Okay. 4.9.
50693 and a penny. That's scary. It's a lot of money.
Thankfully, in the budget process, with the $500,000 extra from the state for pilot, it offsets the increase that would cause.
A part of it, but
Well, it really
Yeah.
it offsets all of it, because your tax increase is less than your expenditure increase.
right.
So that and the additions of the other revenue that we increased in our budget offset it, so that your tax
Has she
increase
said anything about that?
isn't as high.
No, she had an opinion? No?
No.
Well, we knew what her opinion was. Okay.
On the rest of the cash and expenditure reports, there's nothing that specifically we need to talk about, but I will tell you there's going to be another transfer coming to building, because somebody at South Road had $2,700 of sewer repair, and there's another one who just called with a complaint. So,
When is that gonna get resolved, so it's not?
well, it's not even on our CIP to fix it and send it to WPCA. It got cut out of the CIP.
And the rationale to that?
Just not enough money.
What was the amount? Do you have the amount that
It was
was?
$97,000 and change to get it, to do enough to get it transferred to WPCA.
97, so 98,000.
Call it 98 to be safe, yeah.
I don't know if anybody has any specific questions on the rest of the reports?
Looking at the budget process for the year
We've been
following.
doing it every meeting,
I know.
so it's like, this is nothing,
Yeah, there's nothing,
nothing's changed
Nope.
as much from the last meeting, so it's kind of, which was Monday, so.
nothing changed this month.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so we're good with town financials since nothing's changed. Transfer requests, we have none.
I
right?
don't have one right now, but there will be one coming for building repair again, to cover the sewer cost. You gotta pay for them somewhere. So I will be coming forward with another transfer,
You do.
but it will be next month.
All right, Board of Selectmen updates, we'll do first, and referrals, and then we're gonna discuss our whole CIP thing too, so. Bob?
Yes, I'm looking for something. First, I wanted to go over the bonding, which
Oh, I have that under CIP, so do you have anything generic you want to talk about of the selectmen that's going on?
Other than the capital and.
Because
the
I have
bonding.
capital and the bonding down here as a separate item.
okay, well, in funding, I think
Yeah.
it should say,
Well, that will be the bonding.
well, it's not just the bonding, and so, but it'll fit in. I'll talk about the fund balance, which is another place where you can find funds. If you step back on things, and it would be good to talk about funding in general, and I'm going to say the obvious. I'm a great
It's the
student.
next item on the agenda, that's why I'm asking if you had anything generic to Board of Selectmen before we do the CIP. The CIP is an item underneath.
CIP is not the entire funding of the town. CIP is a part of the funding of the town, but the funding, I'm talking about, where do you get the money? Where does the town get the money? Could somebody answer that question?
You mean like tax revenue,
That's one thing.
state, grants?
Okay, now, so what you're talking about is the budget, and that's what you worked on for a month. And you have a budget, and the budget gets revenue from different places, the state, the taxpayers, and other fees, permitting fees, the aircraft registrations, many places. So, and that's the budget, and you spend that. And what you did and what the selectmen did is determine where exactly the expenditures are going to be spent. And you tax, and you're about to tax, or we will, the referendum on the revenue that comes in based on the expenditures you're doing. But there's money above that in the fund balance, and what is that, about $8 million that we have in the fund balance?
Yes.
And it's supposed to be, I guess that you changed so it's now, we can have up to 20% and as low.
Which is 7.9 million.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and now that you've set your budget, we can look toward taking money from that fund balance to buy things that are not in our budget. That's one place to do it. Another thing to consider when you're talking about the fund balance is the bonding, which we'll get into. And other things are like grants that we can to get funds for there. So that when you're looking at what the just funding of the town, there's many different sources. And so, and we've just established one. But here, I want to pass this out. This is South Road. I'll pass them down. Keep one for myself. Okay. And now, as we said, there's a over $7 million in our fund balance, and I think we're above the 20%. And as we'll talk about when we talk about CIP, that's in CIP, and it's, I guess, for $97,000, we can fix that. And that's something that I think I'll bring up at the Board of Selectmen meeting, because I think it's something we put down, kicked the can down the road for years now. And we've been kind of vocal about it for the last 2 years because it's costing us a lot of money. Everybody has this picture? So there's 16 houses on South Road, and the town foreclosed on South Road, the 16 houses. It was, I guess in 1995, the military gave it to a nonprofit organization. They stopped paying taxes, and before I took office, we foreclosed on it. And so now we are the property owners of 16 houses. That the people own their houses, but we own the property. And they pay $56 a month in rent. Some of them don't pay, but it would cost more to collect it if you hired a lawyer at $300 an hour. It's not cost effective. But anyway, in the back of this is, in yellow, is where the sewer is. This was built by the military, and it comes off of Phelps Road, which is, I guess you go down to Phelps Road, it goes right into the high school when it crosses Route 5. And this sewer pipe is made out of clay pipes. I would imagine they're either 1 foot or 2 feet long. And there's some huge trees in the backyards of these houses, and now the roots are going into, they're looking for water, they go into the sewer pipes, in between the sewer pipes. So it's clogging things up. Now, as Amy said, it costs $2,700 to dig it up just recently. We dug up somebody's, Jerry Rudolph was his name, I've forgotten the number of his house. His toilet wasn't flushing, and no water was draining out of his house. His shower didn't work. He was 77 years old. He was with his wife. They called the plumber. They spent $500. The plumber put something down the drains to cut the roots, and it went out 30 or 40 feet, and then it couldn't go any farther, but still wasn't draining because basically they reached from the back of their house to the sewer pipe, and the roots are in the sewer pipe too. Now this happened last year also, and in addition to just costing us money and not fixing the sewer pipe, you have to think of these are renters and are renting our land, and these families, like the one last year, had a wife and a husband and 2 kids, and they went without sewer for 3 days or 4 days. They couldn't shower or flush their toilet, and they were young children, so we're really inconveniencing these people too. So, and then, as Amy said, I have an email here from Art Enderly, April 16th, that he said, I received a call from Tom, a resident of South Road this morning. He was told to call me in regard to the South Road sewers. It appears there has been a problem on occasion with his plug toilet. I informed him the town Department of Public Works has been responsible for these South Road sewers. So another one, so that's 2 already out of 16 are having problems, and this one looks like a 3rd one. So I'm just recommending that we take some money from the fund balance and fund this CIP project, and I think, so that's my story on South Road. Are there any questions?
Since this is such a high priority item, and it was, on CIP, and it was approved by CIP, and based on the way your board went by project instead of dollar amount, can you give me the reason as to why this wasn't one of the projects that you all chose?
We'll go through CIP, and we'll and do you want to do that now?
I just was curious
Well-
as to why, you all didn't pick it as one of the projects.
Well, because when you're determining the taxes for the town, the CIP, the more you spend on CIP, the greater the taxes will be required for the taxpayers to pay. And right now, we have more money in the fund balance, and we're trying to spend it down. So you can pick some things up here and take them out of the budget, as we did last year, reduce the taxes that you're going to charge the residents, and still pay for their needs. And that's, in a sense, why I started saying you have to consider all the different sources of revenue, which is bonding and the fund balance and others, beyond the budget. And that's what I'm recommending we do for the sewer pipe. And as we talk about CIP, I'm going to pass out the CIP that the CIP group gave us, and we'll go through the items. And if there's any ones there that you can think you can fund, I would recommend you fund them in the next few months.
Well, that's what we're doing tonight. That's the next, what we discussed. That's the next thing that we're going to be going over is a group of funding for the schools, a group of funding from the CIP. And South Road was on the list to spend down a little under $1 million to put the package together, as long as it's not reoccurable expenses. I think Sarah's question was more, why was the process negated this year, whereas taking the recommendations and having the capital improvement committee do what we've done for years, is that we give them a chunk of money and they take their priorities and do it, so that then we know, so they fund things in whole, and now we kind of piecemeal. So I think more the question was, why do we break away from the flow, I think is the more question.
I think I answered that question. I'll answer it again when we talk about CIP.
Okay, I don't think you answered it, but if you think you did, we'll go with that. Anything else? Or can we move on? All right, on to,
So you guys in your package actually have the CIP, and you actually have it in a format that shows what the CIP, what's the balance in the accounts, what the CIP group recommended, what the Board of Selectmen recommended, and the Board of Finance just mirrored the amounts of the Board of Selectmen without making any changes to it. But that is in a format that everybody has, looks like this, a couple pages after your financial.
And
We've got it.
It's
Yeah, I'm going to pass out mine too.
Well,
and
we've
Kath,
got
I'm
that
probably
in the
gonna
book.
need your.
Well, you don't have this.
Kath,
We do have it in our book.
And that's circled in red.
I'm probably gonna need your help and
Pass it down.
Bob's help. Because what we're gonna do is group things, and some of the school stuff that we talked about, I'm not finding specifically where it is, like on here, like when we did the whole textbook thing, and then we did sports and extracurricular activities, and then we did the technology, so we're gonna have to try to pick that out, but we'll go each section at a time. What's this? Here.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Alright, so. Alright. So as far as the bonding ones, Aim, have these gone in front of the selectmen, this 3 million?
I think you've shared it with the selectmen.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
I don't know that anybody came up with a list of what we are gonna do or aren't gonna do, because this is missing like anything school-related.
Yeah, no, this is,
Fire truck.
it says at the top, possible
Possible.
bonding projects.
Yeah.
And we're
So if
saying
you-
that we're thinking of going for bonding in the
next
spring.
yeah.
Mhm.
And so we have some time to
When-
consider this.
When it goes to an amount, because you know how we have, there's a certain amount when we get rated and all that stuff. to
Well,
have
any amount has to be rated. That $1 million we did for the roof had to be rated.
Right.
So, but it's about $75,000 for a bond offering, whether it's $1 million or whether it's $5 million. The cost doesn't really change because you're still paying for the advertising, you're still paying for the rating, you're still paying for the lawyer, you're still paying for the financial advisor. So it's about $75,000.
And where do we want to be, like, this is 3.3? And that's just because it was the roads and it was, you know, all those projects. What do we have, where, everything's dropped off, right? I mean, except for the,
No, we still have the middle school roof on there.
Yep,
We have
the
the
roof.
Broadbrook modulars on there. We have a refinance of some school construction and some open space purchase that was refinanced in maybe 15.
okay.
So we still have some debt out there. We still have plenty of capacity because the state allows us to have like 10 times your operating budget. So, which is way more than we would ever want.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
I think what we really need to do is sit down with a list of what we're thinking
Mhm.
and put it together either with the CIP group to get them prioritized. If we bond $5 million next spring, what is it gonna cover? What's the most urgent of the first $5 million? Versus 3 years from now, if we're going out for another some amount of money, what would be covered in that? Like what can wait and what can't wait? And try to come up with a game plan, like more long-term. We don't do a lot of long-term planning here. And we really need to be looking not just in this budget and this set of issues that's out there. We really need to be looking long-term, and how are we gonna keep up with everything that needs to happen? So, I think it actually needs to be a group of mixed people, so everybody gets their say.
Well, that's what,
But I think the impetus for going was the bridges. The state told us we need to
Right,
fix
we
the
have all
bridges,
those
it's
bridges.
$1.2 million. So I think the first dollars we do for the bonding has to be the bridges,
yep.
and that's 1.2 million. Prior to that, I wasn't thinking we were going out for some other period of time.
Right.
I thought it would be a few years before we went out again. As a matter of fact, that's what I shared with the Raiders when I talked to them this fall. Little did I know the state was coming with bridge inspection report saying we needed $1.2 million to do bridges. So I do have a fund balance analysis that I updated for you guys that shows us even at 20% what the numbers mean. You guys would like one?
Yep. We also have to discuss the capitalization policy.
I do have the requirements for CIP, the other policy, the capital improvement policy.
I was supposed to get 94,000 on the South Road sewer.
Oh, okay, thank you. Here it is.
That's close.
All right, so as you know, what we found out after Amy went through the policies and the procedures and everything, whereas what I was trying to do early on in the budget process, when we were looking at the Board of Education and the substantial increase that was there, and we knew that we were going to do the spending of the $980,000, that could we bundle? Could we do a package, like say a fund, athletics and extracurricular activities, and it would have to be not reoccurring? Well, it could be reoccurring, but it couldn't be salaries, and it couldn't be things like that. Originally, we thought we couldn't do it that way. We thought it had to be one project, over $20,000, and that was it. But after Amy's reviewed everything and gone over it, it actually can be bundled items as a as a project. So when we were talking about the 3 smart boards and the smart TV and the Mac lab and the laptop carts, they're all technology or IT. So it's an IT bundle or an IT package that we're putting together. So if you took the $20,000 for the smart boards and the smart TV, and you took the $12,700 for the math lab, and you took the $5,300 for the laptop cards, you would have $38,000 under the IT fund, the IT group that we would put together for the schools. Then if you did the library textbook bundle, you have about $77,000 there. If you add up all of the library fees on the budget and the textbook fees on the budget, I do have to get a little clarification, Kathy, because it says library, and then underneath it, it says something to the effect, you knew it was part of the library, but it wasn't defined. It might have just said supplies or something to that effect, but it looked like it was more, it looked like it belonged to the library. So we have to look at that a little closer. And then you had guided reading books. Remember we talked about that the first day, and that was $13,000, but I'm not seeing where that is in the budget. So it's going to be stuff like that that probably tonight, actually, we're going to have to really look at it and really narrow it down.
So you're saying the things that are on our cut list are things that we would actually have to find on the master spreadsheet?
Well, not even just the cut list, it's things that we can group as,
Okay.
you know, like athletics and extracurricular activities can be music and sports and what was the other one? that
They
was
kind
under
of came
there?
up as that one time is what Christine
Right.
did them when we were here talking about it. We did one-time expenses kind of.
Right.
And that's where the Mac Lab, the smart boards,
And the
volleyball
laptop
nets,
parts.
guided reading, library books,
Yeah.
textbooks, AT environmental books.
Yeah, there was some AP, where did I write it? Advanced placement in vision science, which I don't know where that is
Environmental
in there.
science, and
Yeah,
that you
which-
don't have to worry about because she was able to amend a grant to include that one. So that's the one change that we have on our side.
Okay.
It's $1,200. It's not the end of the world, but it's
It's
$1,200. I don't think it's gonna make or break anybody, but
And then to you, Bob?
Yeah.
We had talked about the police vehicles that got, like you got through the through the budget process, the Board of Selectmen, you got half a car or something, or
We
whatever.
got one car.
One car, but not the canine car, which we need for the grant, however it worked.
No, they were
Something,
really-
The
something
canine
messed up.
car is
Totally
paid for
separate.
with the grant, it's ordered, it's on its way. We
Yep,
can't supply
and we're
it.
good.
That's gonna be a canine car regardless of what everyone else may think.
They shorted their vehicle
But,
replacement by $55,900.
Right, which is a car, right?
It's a car and a half.
More than
Or
a car.
car and a
yeah.
half.
Yeah.
That's what I
Just a
meant,
stupid
car and a
question.
half.
Now, if we approve the 55,900, or put it into the spending for
The police vehicle, the
yeah,
line?
yeah, if we put, but if we do that through the, I guess that money can carry and match up to the CIP money from next year.
Well, that's what will happen with all these. Just like if you went through the CIP now,
Yeah.
you would see the splash pad,
Yeah.
you would
Yeah, I
see
see
the
it.
Abbey Road
Okay.
bathrooms.
So we would just put
So
it in there from a different.
right, so the vehicle account that right now has X balance would get appropriation of the
Of more, the
55.9.
remaining.
And then July, the 45 that came through the budget process would get added to it. So when
Okay.
July 1st got there, they would actually have their 100,900 that they needed.
So the trucks, this plow
And
truck
same
without the
with
plow
the-
would be fine.
Right, so the same
That's
with
the
the
other thing.
DPW truck would be the same way.
Right,
Yep,
Yep.
So my question would be the
laptops.
laptop computers.
Yep, and what
which was
was?
23,
23
or
grand?
24, 23 something,
23,700,
yeah.
Yeah, 23.
I believe.
So it was 55 and 23.7, right?
Well, 56 and 24 is what I did for
Okay.
thousands. That was
Okay.
car.
So that's 70 grand.
And then we have Public Works, which didn't get their whole car.
That's right.
So it's 60,000.
They're 60,000 short on their whole car.
What's the effect?
And then there's other things that didn't get funded at all, like Public Works had drainage and they got nothing.
I'm sorry, correction, 23,070 on the top books.
Okay,
So it's 23.
So 56 and 23 really,
right.
because if we only do 55.9 to your, we're up, give them the money. The other $70 there needs to go.
All right. What were you asking? Well, the athletics, we have to look closer, because it's gonna be athletics and extracurricular activities. So the nets, they were talking about the nets and uniforms, but I'm not, and that's what Kathy's gonna have to help with, because I see where it just says athletic supplies, which I think is what they're saying, or some uniforms and are the volleyball nets. and-
Yeah, they may be buried in those lines.
Right, exactly.
And
So-
I'm not sure how familiar Andy is with exactly what's in each line,
Right.
so I'm texting
Well, and I
Andy and
took
Chris
the
now.
lines,
not
so
sure
I'm
if
just
Chris
hoping
is
I took the
available.
right lines, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We'll do our best to figure
So-
it out.
If you look at the lines that had something either relating to music or athletics or one-time athletic type things, it was like $12,000. But I think there's more, and that's why I want specifics. So. All right, so back to this capital.
So the other thing that was cut out of the CIP was the Broadbrook fire truck, but that would be, for my thought, that would be a bonding something. Do the whole million versus starting to fund 200 a year. They asked for 200 over 5 years. The CIP gave them 100 of it, but the selectmen cut it out.
Did that generator, we need to do too, generator
Yeah.
problem.
The generator.
All,
Oh,
town
yes, the
properties, the
generators.
2 generators, the one for the radio tower and one for the PD.
That's 97.5 for the 2 of them.
Yeah, I think we said
Right,
another room on my paper.
60,000 for the
I was
first
gonna say,
one.
we were gonna try
We were
to
gonna-
split them over 2 years,
Yeah.
the intent was.
That was our intent, but
And what was it, 97.5?
97.5 was the 2 generators, one for the police department and one for the tower. And one's bigger than the other, so you can't split it exactly in half.
no, you can't.
I think we did 50-47.
I'm looking for it.
It's there, it's 15.
Well, it should be on here on the
Yeah,
analysis, they all have too.
Yeah.
It's 97 for the 2.
97.
That was a priority one, I think, because you're blowing your stuff up if it don't work right.
There it is, yeah. We said 50,000 would cover the one large one, and then 47 for the other.
All right.
Yes,
So you were
50
saying
is what the board, the CIP had approved,
For the.
trying to cover one of the 2. So the other thing was the garage equipment, but we know it has to be $20,000. And that's what the department asked for.
Do you remember, it was so they could work on their own cars and save money, right?
Yes, it's tools that they're using within the garage.
Right.
Like one of them was a lift.
Yep.
So it's not little tools, it's not going and buying hammers and screwdrivers, it's,
So the original ask was 20,000, CIP gave 10.
right, which we really can't do. It really needs to be 20, because our CIP rules say it has to be 20. Did the generators, do we put them on at 97 or did we put them on at the 50?
I wrote 97.
I wrote it, 17, good.
Did you do anything for drainage?
Not yet,
And then garage equipment?
but we're gonna have.
I did some quick math. The generator project at 97, South Road at 94, the IT for the schools at 38, the library textbooks at 77 with a question mark, police department vehicle at 55.9, laptops for the police department at 23,070, and the public works truck at 60,000 comes to 445, 470. So that leaves you 500,000 plus a little bit.
Did you do the 11,000 for athletics?
I didn't put an athletic number in there yet. That's just, those projects come to 445.5, so you still got 500,000 approximately, maybe a little bit more.
So add 15,000 for athletics, extracurricular activities, just for now.
All right, so
We'll dive into
that'll
the
put it
exact
at
numbers.
460 approximately,
All right, put in CNR garage equipment at 20,000.
so 480.
Okay, and then we're caught up to where we were.
Okay.
Then drainage would be next.
And drainage would be whatever you want to do, or if you have other projects you want to do, would cut out of drainage.
20.
What was drainage at?
It was 50, And we've traditionally been doing 50, and they currently have 20,000 left in their balance from last year.
It's on there, where now? Public Works.
You know, why not?
It's
Right,
the very
there it is.
last,
Yeah, I see it, there it is.
it's the very, towards the end of the page, right before roof replacement.
And that's in the bond and the roof replacement. Yeah. All right, so right now, CNR drainage for 50,000, in there too, just so we can.
530.
So, next is tied to town properties, I guess, because it's exterior lights, vehicle replacement of the generators there too, and the dog pound repairs.
Yeah, that was my question, I was gonna ask about the dog pound. So, where are we with the dog pound thing? I know that you
You're
guys
nowhere.
were nowhere. Are we repairing the dog pound? I know at one board of selectmen, they're talking outsourcing. I mean, what are we doing?
Here's some facts. If we abandon the dog pound, we'll never have another one. We'll never be able to afford to build another one.
Because we're grandfathered for a lot of
Right.
stuff.
So once you abandon that building, then you kind of,
You have to start from new with all the new regulations and all the new laws and all the new.
Yeah.
But I'll say that the Board of Selectmen have looked at regionalizing with the South Windsor dog pound, which is right at the end of Rye Street. And I visited it, and I visited our dog pound. Our dog pound, as Bob points out, if we repair our dog pound and meet a minimum standard, we can get away with it. But if we ever had to build a new one, we'd have to build it up to a greater standard. It would cost us a lot more money. So one thing you can take away from that, and it's true, that our dogs are not being cared for as well as the state would like them to be cared for, in a sense. The facility isn't what it should be. Now, the one in South Windsor is built in what was a firehouse, which means, and the cages are not on cement floors. They're 14 inches off the ground, and they're in plastic, and they have, and not only does South Windsor use it, but Manchester and East Hartford, and they charge for using it by dog pound days, and we think that we would probably end up paying maybe $3,000 to $5,000 a year to use that dog pound. And they feed the dogs, they
do not feed the dogs.
well, then we have a difference. We'll have to investigate that. You seem to be an expert, but we can certainly...
The care and everything of the dogs is all entirely on our town. We pay for the food, we pay for the feeding. Our ACO, our animal control
Well, then
officer,
we're
will
going to have to
there
do a little more
feed dogs
research,
every
Bob.
day, just as we do
That's
here.
we're going to have to do a little more research, because
Well,
you're telling me
Research.
as something that and this, we're talking about the South Windsor dog pound.
The care of the animals at that dog pound is done by each town. So East Hartford cares for their animals, South Windsor cares for their animals, Manchester cares for their animals.
And how do you know what they do?
It's in my backyard at my work.
Okay.
It's literally
All
right
right,
behind
and
me.
so we've talked to their police
But anyway.
department. So we're going to get more details. And also, what they do is they have adopt a dog every Saturday from 10 to 3. People can come and adopt a dog. We've gone in, there's absolutely no smell. They have a recreation area. We think that the dogs will be better cared for there. It's regionalized, it's not going anywhere, so you're not going to have to build another dog pound in East Windsor. And we think by doing the arithmetic that we would actually save money, save about $9,000 a year by going up there. So we don't think it's a wise idea to spend $60,000 to bring ours up to the minimum standards. We think it'd be much better for the dogs and for the town, and we'd save money by going to South Windsor. So there's definitely a difference of opinion on this. So I wouldn't fund it at this
All right, well,
point.
my question would be, it obviously needs repairs. It's
Yeah.
in disrepair. So my question would be, nothing ever happens around here quickly. So how long is it going to take for your board to get its stuff together to make a decision? Because if you're going to have to put it out to a vote, right? Because if I remember right, we tried this once before and it failed to regionalize the dog pound. So
What
you
kind of
guys-
a vote?
No, it was, how many years ago did we do that?
Well, what I meant is, I think it's just the Board of Selectmen can vote, and they can vote in a month. We could put it,
Well, okay,
we kind of thought we'd do it at maybe July 1st, but we could do it sooner if you'd like.
well, no, I'm just thinking, because when they tried to regionalize the animal control
There's two
last
different
time.
things there. You have an animal
What
control
happened?
officer,
Yep.
which is completely under the police department.
And then the
It's
dog
nothing to do
pound.
with this.
Yep.
This is the dog pound.
So that wouldn't have to go to a town vote, you could just decide to send the dogs over to South Windsor. All right, well then I guess your best bet would to try to do it quick, because if it needs repairs and you don't think they're getting taken care of now, if it takes too long, they're still not getting taken care of. So I mean, you can't sit and wait forever. So I
Can't wait
guess
forever, so we'll
let's
do it
get-
in the
yeah.
next 2 months.
All right, so we'll wait on that one.
So the other two things under there were exterior lighting, which they asked for 75. CIP gave them 10 as a start to the project, thinking they would fund more when there was more money. And then town vehicle replacement, they had asked for 25,580, and they had funded it at 20,000. And this is to replace town, other than police cars. So this could be a senior service van, it could be a town car here. I mean, what traditionally happens is the police give their cars to DPW repurposes them and leaves them parked at town hall here for us to take when we need to take.
If there's anything left. Typically they auction them.
What was the exterior lighting, like?
So that's actually like grand total, like $150,000 project. So
Okay.
this is just something that we're trying to funnel a little money into each year so that they can do little bits at a time and eventually we get there. So it's upgrading to LEDs and fixing lights that are broken, that aren't working, stuff like that.
It's like at parks,
Yeah, the lights at the parks are in rough shape and
So, why don't you write on those exterior lighting, but don't put a,
Park and Rec did rise to any of the stuff, but they got a whole lot of money last year.
yeah, they're good.
And then GIS stayed in there. And then the Board of Ed, the only thing that got funded for them was their kitchen steam boiler. They had also put in tile replacement that the CIP had approved, but that didn't make that.
For the Broadway cafeteria?
mhm.
Put that back in. It's 27,000.
27,500 is the cafeteria tile. You want that on that list?
Yeah. Right, you know, something else with the parking lot. What's the high school south wing carpet?
That's just more carpet in the south wing is.
Which part though, like when I'm looking?
So if you go down the main hall and then down past the gym on the left,
Mhm.
that's the south
On the left.
wing.
Okay,
Yeah, so if you go past, so if you take a left to go to the gym and just keep going,
Yeah.
that's the south wing.
okay.
I think there was multiple rooms.
Well, both of you are on capital, and as you're looking at your list and hearing what we're talking about, is there something that you guys red flag that we are completely missing, or items that you would have put forward that didn't make it because of the monetary amount? This is your baby,
I
so.
was only half listening to you because I was doing other stuff, but,
Wow.
and unfortunately. Wow! Right away. I'm sorry, I was trying to get like things organized for Board of Ed. I was warning Andy, I got Andy listening to his live feed so that he can hear your questions directly when we get to try to figure things
He's
out.
on YouTube.
He did,
Yeah.
he's watching. So I was straightening that out. Anyway, I don't have handy the list of things that they actually funded, so if I could take a peek.
Yep. Is there an extra
That
one?
would
Yeah,
help.
here's actually, it's circled in the red.
That's what's
I like yours.
weird.
Oh, all right, well, that'll help.
I'm gonna steal this one.
So certainly, the police vehicles, moving those from to the full amount
Yep,
is something,
that's in there.
So everything's
the
circled in
certain
red,
ones
we
are-
either funded or partially funded. And
Right,
if they
okay.
partially funded, I put
the
one.
dollar amount is
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
okay. So that was funded. It's probably Andy.
Oh, okay.
That's me. The vehicle replacements, I don't know if you talked about that. But that's something that if we don't perpetually fund, when an opportunity comes for a grant, we're not going to be able to take advantage of it.
So that's the town one, which we
The
did not.
town property
Yeah,
line,
we didn't.
line
Yeah, we
nine.
did not put that on there.
All right, so
I'm not sure what the status of the Broadbrook Fire Department truck is.
I think that's more a bonding
I think
item.
That's fine,
I
and that's one of the things we'd hope would really happen,
Yeah.
but the generators you've got, the laptops you've got, our software made it, exterior lighting,
Okay.
and the DPW equipment is something that I know that
We
Would
did,
be
we put
very
that back in
helpful to
there.
So put it back in.
you did,
Yeah.
okay. Board of Ed, I heard you talk about that, I'm not real in a hurry for this.
No, they left your steam boiler, we put the
Yeah.
tiles back in. We
Yeah.
actually did what you approved.
I'm not too worried about the parking or the, I mean, the carpet would be nice, because eventually we're gonna get to all of it, but again, it's not earth critical. South Road sewer, I consider critical. I think there's concern that, and this is one we didn't fund, was the replacement of aging roofs at DPW, the fire department, and the senior center.
They put them on the bond list, the selectmen put them on the
Yeah,
bond
they put
list,
them on the bottom list.
Okay,
which I think we need to combine with some school roofs that need doing too.
okay, that works.
On the bond list right now are the Highland Avenue culvert, South Water culvert, Norton Road culvert, Alderbridge, East Road culvert, East Windsor Park outlet. Then it's DPW roof replacement, Senior Center, Broward Fire Department roof replacement, Tromley Road paving, Wells Road paving, and Scannick Road paving. Total project's 3.367725.
Okay. So
Plus
you
the
did-
million for the fire truck would make it
I was gonna say,
4.
plus the fire truck, okay. Yeah, those are the only things that I would say would be super critical.
The only other place that we could look at is more payment management. I know Bill
Yeah.
didn't get his number he wanted in the taxes.
Didn't get it.
I mean, that was the other thing, we didn't give Len all his pavement
Right,
management
he
money,
asked for $1
hoping
million.
that, yeah, he got cut to less than half of what he asked for, and the hope, what we put forth to the Board of Selectmen was that they consider a multi-year bonding project where he could kind of play catch-up.
Yeah.
He did ask for $1 million, you approved 500, the Board of Selectmen cut it to 400.
Okay.
And he asked for 500 in his operating budget and got cut to 275.
Yeah, that was the.
There are some projects on the bonding list though.
Yep.
There's,
Well, there are those three.
right, there's Tromley, right, which are all bigger roads where $500,000 for each.
Right
road.
there is $1.4 million
I know.
in the roads.
I
All
know.
right, so, yeah, well, look, we talked about, if I got everything, I'm at 633,500. So I can put some of my road stuff in there.
Okay, but the bonding is 1.4, it's not like, and remember, the one thing he did say is it is good to give money, and we're gonna put it in a fund where he can roll it. But they can only do so much,
Yeah, so.
Right.
so much at one time.
And that was what we talked about, was for him to come up with some costs and plans as to what was manageable.
Right.
Okay, and I'm gonna rain on your parade before you spend all of it. Board of Ed.
Why you always gotta have bad news?
Board of Ed is gonna need an additional appropriation this year. So that is gonna have to come from fund balance.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
saying.
We haven't gotten an, oh, that's next. Do you have an update on that number? You're next.
It-
So might as well just merge it all into one.
It hasn't really changed.
So it's still
It went up a
to-
little bit. Let me I'll dig out my last financial report and give you actual numbers.
All right, so just,
Did you have a dollar amount
Estimate.
of lighting in there, Bill?
I have
50.
50,000 for lighting.
so,
And did you do the vehicle at 20?
27,500 I've had in there for, oh, sorry, vehicle for 26 is with the original amount.
26?
Yep, that's what I thought the original amount was on there. Town vehicle replacement was in there 25,590, so I just put
Okay.
26.
we did 80, we rounded up.
That's fine. I didn't have either dollar amount there. You guys were having too
So
quiet
what
of a
was-
conversation over
So
there
what
for me
was
over
your
here.
total?
633,
Sorry,
633,
That's why I like
470.
around.
633, 470.
So 600. Yeah.
634.
630, yeah, 633.5.
All right. Well,
All right, so we are at, right now, as of 4/1/19, 255,157, which went down a little bit due to us closing out purchase orders, et cetera. That still does not take into the potential consideration if our revenue doesn't come in, which should be, right now, the variance is about 115,000, but that's the thing that we expect the choice spend to offset. So we have no information that says it wouldn't offset at this point.
And what about cafeteria? I'm thinking that's not in there.
Are you still running at a loss?
Yes. I don't know the exact amount of that right now.
So there goes all your payment money. Sorry, Bill.
Skip your payment, you just, get your
Well, it
payment.
was road, it wasn't pavement, it was road maintenance we killed.
Yeah, I know. But it all falls under that. So
See
what's
if
that
Andy
total?
has a cafeteria balance.
83. So you got about 83.
And what about extra lighting?
Hmm?
Is that third one, computers, or we're just trying to sneak it in this year?
Right now, cafeteria is projected
Can't do that.
at about 65 to 67,000 shortfall.
Again?
Not sure if that,
Yeah, it was 62 last year or something like that, so.
It was,
That's
well, they
not
put
too far.
65,000 in for their shortfall into the budget, right?
yeah.
Or predicting the shortfall.
Andy
Next
says
budget.
yes again.
Hmm?
Andy says yes again. This is much easier with him listening than me typing.
So you're looking at, if you add the Board of Ed's shortfall of $250,000 in, you're looking at 883,500, unless we added a little off, but. So you've got like 100,000 left of any capital, which you're not seeing anything glaring that we missed that got next.
Not on the CIP list, no.
And we've talked to Public Works and those guys, and we know what those are. So, I mean, I don't know,
I'd
I
say
feel
it would
like
be
maybe we
fiscally
leave that.
responsible if we did the 633 for now,
Yeah,
and then wait and see
And
what
leave
happens closer to the end of the year for the Board of Ed.
yeah. Because we come next to the end of the year.
Well, we really won't have a good number till
No, closer.
closer to the end of the year.
Right.
All right, so. The only thing, Kathy, in order to do your side, I have to make sure we're using the right numbers from your budget. Because really, we're literally taking that out of this year, because it's gonna get funded, put into the fund that you're gonna be able to use for your next year numbers. But we have to make sure these numbers that I pulled are right. So I'll show you where I
That's
have
why I
them
had
and stuff.
Andy pay attention.
Well, he can't see my hand.
I thought rather than me try to
You see my
translate via
highlights?
text, he could hear what you were saying and help me find things.
Well, I'll show you I'll give you this, well, we have to go over yours anyways, your update, Board of Ed update, unless there's not.
I don't really have an update beyond that amount
Okay.
without Chris, with Chris on vacation.
Okay. All right.
So really, you think the 38 IT number is solid?
Well, that's what they gave, actually, that's what they gave us last time. It was a $20,000 for 3 smart boards and a smart TV. Math lab was $12,700 and laptops were $5,300. I feel like the $38,000 is pretty on par. Because those were the numbers we discussed the last time. What does Andy say? What's the man in the box say?
So you're talking about the laptop cart?
Yep, there's a laptop cart that Christina said $5,300. The math lab was $12,700 and smart board / smart TV were $20,000, making it $38,000.
Okay.
Then,
Wow.
My.
Vibration is big.
Cheap chair.
That's a big no.
I know, right?
Big screaming no. And then the other things I had on my list
He
was
says that
volleyball.
number's correct.
Okay.
That was a big correct, huh?
Thank you.
Yeah, I just had volleyball for 4, but that was the only thing I had for athletic stuff.
Well, what I did is I went in and highlighted, or circled, depending on what it was, so let's look. No, like originally, but. If you look, supplies, athletic, 19,000, supplies, drama, newspaper, 2,500, supplies, music, 9,868. See, I missed that 19,000, that's where we're gonna get messed up. So this number is gonna be a little more, good. So what I say, 19,000, 2,500, and 9,868 was under music. Then 451 is music, tech, supplies, so 451 I had there. And I think something else was highlighted. Then over on the middle school, there was athletics 6,000, music 400, so that's right there. That's that. And I didn't know where the nets were, to be honest with you, but it was middle school nets. So I'm gonna guess that was in the 6,000.
That was here in this one. Volleyball nets were $4,000, correct?
Right, so if you look on middle school, it says athletics. There's a $6,000 price tag for this year, so I'm guessing most likely it's
Probably
in
in
there.
that line.
Right. So actually, no,
So you're saying though, we need to figure out which line it's in.
well, just to make sure we have the right numbers and we're not shorting. You know what I'm saying? That we're
Okay.
using the right dollar amount.
Gotcha. Because not everything you're gonna look at is gonna come off the cut list.
Right, 1922. Exactly.
The nets were off the cut list, so that number's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, but we don't know of the supply lines we picked up, if it includes that 4,000 or if they happen to be somewhere
My
else.
phone's hanging.
Okay.
That's gonna be athletics and extracurricular. Ooh, that's extracurricular too. These three numbers, 6,851, 21,500, and 9,868. That number's gonna be wrong, so we're gonna have to do a little bit of a different total, so.
And then for the books, I had, Broadbrook, I had 15,000 between guided reading and library books and textbooks. That was 15,000, and then I had 13,288 for high school library books and 52,96 for middle school library books. On our original list, when we first cut out $78,000,
Yep.
that was the sum total of those things. All
Well,
the IT stuff, plus the volleyball nets, plus the guided reading and the library books.
so I had a
You came up with a
little,
lot bigger number for
like,
books.
I did. So Kathy, I guess the question would be is that when it says Broadbrook Elementary Library, $8,455. Is that books or I was assuming that was books and tangible items that go into the library?
Is this on the cut list or is this
Nope, this is under Broadbrook Elementary,
in our budget?
line
Okay.
6, well, line
It's the last
231.
one on that.
Yeah, the last one on
on that
page 4.
page.
It just says library,
We've got
8,400.
too many files open. The library. What was the dollar amount?
$8,455.
That's this one. All right.
So I think the cut list was only $2,000, but I think we're wondering if the 2 is of that 8,450.
So,
And if we gave you the 8450, would that help offset the cuts that have been made?
Well, anything you do will help offset cuts, but
So did you, how much was that? What was the
It's
difference?
23,500, 23,500.
So what's the difference then?
You would only have 15 in there.
Okay,
Yeah, so it brings 38.5 is the actual number of what this has actually.
for athletics and extracurricular activities?
38,500.
Okay.
So that brings the number to 657.
It needs to be 38.5.
The athletics and extracurricular
It has like
activities.
drama and stuff like that in there. And then the total number was what, 657?
657.
470 still, or no?
Excuse me?
The 657, is it still 470?
It's 657 when
Oh,
I adjust.
okay.
657.
So we just have to make sure that they're all right. Yeah, because like if you look at high school, textbooks are 14,510 and library is 13,288. So I'm assuming it's books, textbooks, and library
he
books.
says that 8455 is primarily library, specifically textbooks are separate in the textbook line.
Right, but but in the library, it's no salaries, anything like that. It's
Oh, no, it's not gonna be
library
salaries,
books,
yeah.
it's library,
Yeah, there's not gonna be any
Pencils,
salary.
I don't know,
in there,
whatever.
yeah.
okay, all right. So I used, Amy, the lines that were marked textbooks and the lines that were marked library.
Okay.
Most of them, I think.
Yeah, all the staff comes under different lines.
Right, exactly. I just want to make sure before I,
No, definitely.
so I make the.
I can answer that one even without Andy.
Well, I thought so, but.
I was confused about the question, I think, is more than anything. I didn't understand the question.
All right,
So basically, that 2,000 library books for Broadbrook Elementary that was on the cut list is part of that 8450 because it was library books.
Yeah, but I'm not sure about the guided reading books.
Well, that would probably be under textbooks.
That would be under textbooks.
Yeah.
And that was 13,000.
All right, so we might have counted that twice. So do, you get your phone that's not dead?
Not dead.
All right, take 10, take these
That's
two.
IT, 38.
513,
Books and library, 77.
502, 5,300.
38.5, and then.
27,000.
38.5.
And then the title.
Confirmed guided reading is in textbooks.
And then 1,374, or 1,400, and 1,500. So yeah, we probably did count the guided reading twice. Let's see, you could just.
Well, I'd like to know that they're going to be relatively low. Still be able to sell it to taxpayers.
And we can solve it like that, you know what I mean?
Terrible balancing.
As long as we make it textbooks and library, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Was that 77 a good number? Perfect.
Close enough. Close enough. All right. So what was our last total?
657,000.
657.
Okay. So, we're up to 657. Is everybody in agreement with the stuff that we went over? Is there anything that you're not in agreement, like, that are opposed to, or something you want to put in different, or
I'm good with this. Me too, so far, yeah.
so far so good? So far so good? All right. So, now the question would be, do we put this in as one big motion? Do we do each separate? Because now this is going to have to go to town meeting.
So your motion has to be to ask the Board of Selectmen to set a town meeting for an additional appropriation of X dollars. Obviously, I would provide them the list,
Right.
but they did, the last time they did each project separately.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So are we comfortable with making that motion?
Do my math overtime, to make sure.
I would help you with that. I get this much power left.
Yes, Mom.
One thing I want to figure out is this.
And I will just read a quote from the fund balance policy. It says, "Amount in excess of the good economic times percentage will be assigned by the recommendation of the Board of Finance, forwarded to the Board of Selectmen and to town meeting in accordance with the town charter." So it is your guys' motion to put forward for town meeting.
Okay.
Yep, 657, 100, was up $100.
All right. 67, 100. All right, so if I'm adding right, that's $153,500 for the Board of Ed. That's $69,000 for the police department, $94,000 for South Road. And I did not add the lights in, so what does Public Works come to? Didn't add the lights in.
If you count the generator and the lights, is 147.
Okay. Plus the 60 for the plow?
Plow and the
Town.
50,000 for drainage.
And did they get the town car too?
Yeah, we put the town car in there.
Town cars in there too, yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, so, all right, well, we'll just do that when we add it up.
So what are you doing now?
Well, right now, I don't have Public Works because I lost track when we started adding town cars. But I have right now $153,500 for the Board of Ed.
If you want to count the cafeteria tiles, it's another 27.5.
Oh, yeah. Never mind, let me change that. Oh, God, that's not me. So,
It's not me.
it's funny how loud a phone is on fire.
81?
Yep, 181. So, all right, so BOE is at 181,000.
And that's a mix of things that were budget and CIP, is that
The only
correct?
thing CIP is the tile for the Broadbrook cafeteria. The rest of the
Okay.
stuff was budgeted. 153,500 was budgeted, 27.5 was not budgeted.
Okay.
And for police, I have the vehicle and the laptops,
Laptops.
right? So 69,000.
That's 69.
69,100, sorry,
That's my
Isn't
69.
it 79?
I don't know.
It's 56
56.
and 23.
No, 79, yep. All right, with 100, Bill said, 79,100.
Okay, so the laptops came to over 23,000, so I rounded it to 100.
And then South Road is
100.
94,000.
South Road is 94.
All right,
That's a sewer.
and so generators were 97,000.
But you're putting DPW all together or no?
I think leave the generator separate and then let's do DPW. So then that leaves our DPW.
60,000 for the truck,
Got that?
50,000 for drainage,
Okay.
50,000 for exterior lighting, and town vehicle for 26,000. 186.
Did you do their 60 for their truck?
Yep. 60, 50, 50, and the town vehicle.
And their garage equipment?
Do we have a
20.
second? Hold on, I'm doing it.
He's adding.
That's 18, 60, 20, another 100,
110, 130.
and 26,000. 206, sorry.
206.
We missed the garage equipment. 206, yeah.
All right, so if you add those up, do you get the same number?
The 100 work.
The 100 work, your gosh.
$657,100.
All right, nice.
We're all on the same page?
All on the same page. Now we need a motion.
I'll move, we approve $657,100 for the projects discussed. We want to fill that in, however you want to word it, and forward it to a town meeting, correct?
Additional appropriation.
Additional appropriation to a town meeting.
Forward to the Board of
Board of Selectmen.
to set a town meeting.
To set a town meeting. There we go.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All right, any more discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Cool beans, good job. All right, can we make a motion for a break?
I'll move to take a 5-minute recess.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
What do you do?
Uh,
I don't know.
Barbara.
Oh, your motion.
Oh, my motion?
Appropriations and bathroom break.
Yep. She's a second.
Both equally important.
To approve $657,100 additional appropriation for projects.
Yeah, I want to tell you. I go to gym with the woman who's on.
Oh, it is Board of Selectmen.
Why isn't it combined profit? So that kind of answers the question you asked.
Somebody, and I can't remember who it was, it might have been finance, but Amy said that if you look at the two combined and see that it's a lot less than some of the other towns, then that's where I was like, okay, I get it. I get it. It's a small town, it's been there forever, you guys are passionate about it.
Yeah, and they've been on the board since forever.
Yeah.
And they don't want to fall under anybody's
Well, what I feel bad is that we weren't able to give them a little bit more.
Well, I
They
think-
don't even have interest, you know, I mean, if we were gonna, and maybe actually, I was gonna ask about that. So I think we found more money than we took out of the Board of Education, I'm not sure.
I don't think it's, okay, yeah, we gotta find it.
Yeah. Amy, how much did we reduce the Board of Education by? Like, have we found more?
The first amount we did was 78, which is that list that I had that had the IT plus the volleyball net plus some of the books. So that was, the total there was 78.
Okay.
That's the first cut we made.
Yeah.
The next cut, I think, was 234.
Well, yeah, you do.
I thought it was 100, I thought it was 100. I could be wrong.
Well, the last cut we made was the 100.
We
cut them a total of $460,000.
and all that stuff is all paid for.
And we just found how much?
181.
In total, it was 54,000. Split between the three teams.
Once I read it.
Oh, ours?
Yeah, I think we did.
We landed them at 24.9. What did they ask for?
25 or 65.
Our budget right now is 234.
But, you know, so this is because when I went over to go today,
I don't know, it's just the building, so as far
I said, okay, if I was doing this budget myself, I would add.
Well, that's what I did too. And then when I did that, and the other thing I did is that I appreciate that they need it by school, but we don't.
let's just say.
Right, and I'm looking, so it was a lot easier for me to visualize where all the custodians together, all libraries.
Right, so just sort it,
Yeah, sort it
Well, if they gave it to us electronically, it would be easy to do.
Well, they did, but I didn't get I asked for it late in the game, so that was the premise of the conversation last week, was I got that worksheet on Monday.
Yeah, okay. I don't know.
Like I said, it's right in my backyard. My backyard. So I see him every day.
What are you doing in your backyard? What are you doing in
No,
your
it's
backyard?
the backyard of my work.
No, he works there.
No, your house. What are you digging in your backyard?
Oh.
I walk my
You gotta
dog
remember,
by your house
it's a
every
two-family
day.
home. I live downstairs, and the people that live upstairs are my in-laws.
Yeah, I know.
And so anyway, Steven bought that tractor. And so now he's playing around leveling the yard.
Oh, he's just
So he
leveling?
thinks.
Because my dog was barking at him the other day.
I think he's just making more of a mess.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I got my nephew with his dirt bike and constantly tears it. I give up trying to take care of it.
I couldn't figure it out. I thought, oh, okay, they must be doing
I've been trying to get them to
something.
buy me out so I can get out of there for years.
Oh, really?
Do that or rent it.
I wouldn't think they'd want that, though. They wouldn't want that.
Well, I don't care. I'm gonna live there.
Yeah, I know. It's, yeah.
I
Yeah.
was looking at another house over here.
Where?
There was one on Melrose, and somebody already bought it. Right on the corner of Melrose, it was Paul's house.
Which house?
Paul.
Oh, that little white house at the end? Yeah, that looked cute. It had like solar panels.
It's got great protection, but.
It was a big yard. It was a big yard. Yeah.
Went for $180.
Are you kidding?
I kid you not. It never even got the minimum on the auction, and the bank that owned it decided to go.
Wow.
I didn't bid because my realtor told me I had to. Did you see my bid? Which was not true. The auction ended November 13th, they closed on it January 20th.
Okay.
Otherwise, I would have
The state
All right,
requires.
and I call the meeting back to order at 8:22. All right, so now, Amy, what did we want to discuss capitalization policy though? We were in.
Well, we just have two policies. One's called the capital asset policy, and one's called the capital improvement policy. And I just think you guys should consider changing the name from the capital asset policy to be capitalization policy. Because that's really the accounting rules. It says it has to be $7,000 to be equipment, has to be $20,000 to be an improvement, has to be $100,000 to be infrastructure, and then it tells us how long we're going to depreciate it over.
Okay.
So it's really an accounting policy versus what can be capital.
Right.
This
This is
capital
what can be-
improvement plan
is what
policy
can be capital.
really tells you what can be capital. So I think we just need to change the name of it. And that doesn't have to be tonight, that can be some other night.
All right. Okay, so why don't we put that on the agenda for next time, have both policies, and we'll
Yep.
take care of it. All right, perfect. All right, Kathy, next on is Board of Education updates and referrals, but you're good, right?
Yeah, I gave you the financial update and cafeteria update, that's really all I have.
All right. All right, and then number 9, which is unfinished business, we still have fund balance policy update.
And that, I put it on there because you guys tabled it.
We
Well, I
did.
wasn't here last month.
Yep.
When I was on vacation. So you guys agreed to the 10 to 20, which is the same wording that's in here. But what happened was, it was pointed out that under committed fund balance, the policy on 9.1 says, amounts constrained to specific purposes by formal action of the Board of Finance, the highest level of decision-making authority of the town. It's not really accurate. You guys are not the highest level of decision-making. So all it is reworded from, thanks to our auditor giving me the language, amounts constrained for specific purposes by formal action of the legislative body of the town, i.e. town meeting or referendum, the highest level of decision-making authority of the town. That is the only sentence that is any different from the policy you approved in February, changing it from low to 5 to high of 17 to low of 10, high of 20. That's the only other sentence that got changed. And the revised policy is dated today's date, and it's on 9/2. Does anybody else have any other questions?
That's pretty much it.
That's clear.
When I read it, when I listened to it, I was really disappointed that I wasn't here to answer the questions for you guys. So it would have made it really easy if I had been here.
Yes,
Okay.
correct. All right, so if I have a motion to approve the fund balance policy as amended,
I move to approve the fund balance policy revised 4/17/2019 as amended.
is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
And then my add was the appointment of the auditor. We are in the third year of a 30-year contract with Mahoney Sable. So it's just a formality that the state of Connecticut requires us to sign a paper that says you guys appointed them as our auditors for the fiscal year 18-19 audit, which will start in the next month.
Already?
Already. They'll be here for
It feels like
preliminary.
it just ended.
I know. So it's just really a formality, but you guys have to.
Okay, but we
approve them.
skipped over A, approve FY 19-20 budget and forward to referendum.
Oh, sorry.
Well, we did. This is the finalization, and this is
Your question, hold on a minute. I have it
to
in
word
here.
it in the question that you were going to put on the line.
Did anybody come up with any wording for my mailer?
What do you want?
Your mailer?
The mailer? You want wording?
Wording?
Yeah, we can work that.
Okay. But your question is, hold on, I have it on last year's mailer. Shall the fiscal year 2019-2020 annual budget of $41,303,202 proposed by the Board of Finance for the town of East Windsor be approved?
Is that what it needs to be?
That's
I
your
think you
question.
better.
We can down Remember that.
All right. Question for you though, and I had, before we, well, we can, when we discuss, I'll do it in discussion because I have a question for Amy. My pen went right.
41.3 is here. but
41, 302. Oh, 302.
302.
30202.
Okay.
Which is the number you guys agreed upon the other night.
Well, that's fine, so I have a question.
So I'll move, or my motion is shall the fiscal year 2019, 2020 annual budget of $41,303,202 proposed by the Board of Finance for the town of South Windsor be approved.
East Windsor.
East Windsor.
East Windsor. It's a rough night for you tonight, Will.
East Windsor, sorry. I grew up in South Windsor. East Windsor.
Second. Okay, is there any discussion? Yeah, I got discussion. So I had asked you just quickly, because even though we look at numbers and we look at mill rates and we look at tax increases and we talked about all that, like on an average house of $250,000, if this budget got passed, how much would a person's taxes go up?
So currently at the mill rate of 33.90, somebody's taxes at $250,000 of the assessed value.
Right
So that
now.
means their home's gonna be,
Right.
that's 70% of their real value of the home is $8,475
That's now.
now. If we go to 35.41, it's $8,852.50. So it goes up $377.50.
Okay, and that's on a house for 250.
Assessed
so-
value of 250.
Yeah, I just gotta pick that out of the air. I don't know. So it goes up like it goes up $400 a year?
377,
Yeah.
378, yep.
All right, you guys are still good? No questions, no nothing? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Motion passes. All right, so back to appointment of auditor.
So this is the last year of our current contract.
It is, so we will be going out next spring. I'm not sure why you guys were doing it in the fall. The auditor said, how can you possibly go out when I'm here working?
Right, it's so strange, right?
So that's really not the timing. The timing will be next spring. Our problem is Mike is way overwhelmed, and a lot of his clients that are going out this year, he's not renewing because there's just not enough bodies. He lost a partner, she went to a town, so there's not enough bodies to do the audits. So I'm kind of glad we're not out this year because I think it would be a problem if we were. But, so.
Well, we are gonna go out.
We will,
Yeah.
right, we will have to go out because our third year is done this audit. But next spring is when we should be going out. Like by February, we should be putting together an
Well,
RFP.
and there hasn't been, like, there haven't been cakes in the road, so.
Well, and our problem is there really aren't that many audit firms out there that do small towns.
Yeah.
Like Bloom came through and said, we're not doing anybody less than 50 grand. And we don't pay anywhere near that.
Yep.
So unfortunately, I think we may see some kinks even when we go out next year, but I don't think we have a choice.
No.
It is time for us to go out, but this one, I just need them appointed because it is the third year of their third year contract.
Okay, so you need a motion to appoint
Mahoney Sable.
Mahoney
for
Sable
the
as-
fiscal year 18-19 audit.
somebody.
Move to appoint Mahoney Sable as our 2018-2019 auditors.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. All right, so board member comments. Karen?
I have none.
All right, Barbara?
Ditto.
Well, you've said enough.
Now he's got to have
There's gonna be some.
Just all moved.
No, I think we've, presented a budget that's fair to all parties in town, business and residents alike. It's up to the voters now.
All right, Ms. Sarah?
I agree with Bill. I think that this board did a great job of working together to put forth a budget based on the needs of the town and not the wants. Based on the public that spoke at the public hearing tonight and the many emails that I've received, the taxpayers would like their say. And I think it is fair that we are leaving it in the hands of the voters to let them decide. The first budget referendum is May 14th. The polls will be open from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. and come out and vote and
Kath?
All right, I'm glad it's done.
Oh, it's not done.
Done in my book. It's a tough, tough one, and I do believe in leaving it up to the town of East Windsor. I really do. Some of the stuff I was surprised that a lot more members didn't show up this time where else went. I'm surprised that you did, but didn't show much. So please, just me, please. I do my best.
Awesome. All right, so then a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
A second?
Second.
All right, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Not bad, either. Well, we were just here Monday, so.
Can I spend some quality time with you?
On all those
You
numbers.
already told me you weren't paying attention to me.